Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner, and today I have Cory Warfield with us. He is the founder and CEO of Shedwool, which is an employee shift scheduling, helping businesses manage their staff most efficiently while empowering their team. After spending 20 years in restaurants, living the pain points resulting from inefficient scheduling practices. So welcome to the show, man.
Thanks so much. I'm honored to be here.
Of course. Grateful to have you here, Cory. We'll dive into the first one. The first question I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would probably go back about 20 years. I was kind of just a young, crazy kid. I was traveling the country, not much stability. Ended up in a small mountain town living in a shack with a couple other guys needing a job. So I started washing dishes at a local restaurant, worked my way up to busboy and waiter, ended up working down the street, became certified as a sommelier. And over the course of the next 20 years, I worked my way through management, senior management. I had a number of restaurants under me. I went back to wait tables just because that's where the real money was. And then flash forward to today, 2 years ago, after living a bunch of pain points in working in restaurants in every capacity, I started Shedwool, and kind of to bring it full circle, the first restaurant that I was washing dishes at and got promoted to busboy in Telluride, Colorado, actually uses Shedwool to schedule their staff. So it's been a kind of cool full circle.
And what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Sure. So I would say that workforce is changing and technology has to change with it to support it. A lot of the millennials really like to kind of live on their own schedule. They're the ones that are coming into the buying power and the employing power. So with Shedwool as a platform, we not only empower managers to schedule their staff the most efficiently, but we're actually kind of in our stealth mode to enable and empower companies and managers to hire qualified temp workers through the platform to fulfill shifts as they need. And we see that as where, shift work as a whole, where the technology side of that is and where the gig economy is going. And, we love what a lot of people are also doing in this space, but we find that no one's solved for that at all. So we think workforce is changing. The technology has to change with it. And we've created a platform on the most current tech stack possible that supports that.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice?
Best piece of overall business advice, I would say just go for it and ask for help and advice along the way. So they say most people, over 90% of people, fail their big, hairy, audacious goal at the exact same time, and that's right before they start. So I say go for it, fail fast, fail forward, learn as you go. There's no time to start like the present.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Gosh, if I could give my younger self a lot of advice, I would do it. If I could give just one piece, I'd say to love more, trust more, and try harder. I really think that would have served me well. And I think once I realized that tenet to love more, trust more, and try harder, that it really helped me level up as a human being, both professionally and personally.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Oh, my opinion, the key to happiness, I would say, is really a vibration. And a good vibe can be created in any different number of ways. So I think by being kind or understanding or helpful can be a really good vibration that brings happiness. I think being successful or wealthy to whatever degree and whatever that means to one is a good vibration that can yield happiness. But really, I think that the distillate is just the vibration. I think happiness is a vibration. I think that it is something that can be felt, that can be reciprocated, and that is vibratory. So that's my answer. Final answer.
I love that. That was awesome. And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Gosh, well, again, I'm gonna shout out a couple that I really like. I just actually had a book review of mine published in Inc. magazine, shouting out Cory from LinkedIn's book, The Restaurant Operator's HR Playbook. I love that for anyone in hospitality or anyone in HR. I also was a brand ambassador for Damon John from Shark Tank and his new book, which is amazing as well. He had his but one of his books, The Power of Broke, was amazing. And then this new book, Rise and Grind, I highly recommend. But I say that I kind of gave a bronze and silver medal to say that although I want to say the lean startup and often did, right now in my world, and the book I recommend to anyone that's kind of in the entrepreneurial space, is Traction by Gabriel Weinberg. It is, to me, almost a Bible. It's I recognize that LinkedIn was my Traction channel. After going through some exercises, I do speaks and I do a bunch of consulting and mentoring, and I recommended that book Traction by Gabriel Weinberg to a lot of people, and every single person's come back just raving, and it's changed their business life. So Traction by Gabriel Weinberg, the best book I've read. And I think LinkedIn, I think for me, what I got out of it is LinkedIn and how to use it, but I think anyone would get something different and relevant to them by reading that book.
Amazing. I have not read that one, so I'm going to put that on my list.
You have to.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is that your network is your net worth. And because it's really all about the team, none of us got where we are by ourselves. You know, we've all had people help us along the way. And the first time I heard that your network is your net worth, it blew my mind. So that's my favorite quote.
Yes, man. Thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
First, second, and third best place to find me online is LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. Everyone that engages with me, I engage right back with them. And then best place to find out about Shedwool online is either the app stores or simply online, shedwool.com, SHEDWOOL.com. It's a play on the word schedule, and it's the best way to schedule your staff.
Awesome, man. Thank you again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. It was a pleasure to be on.